welcome to Home of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're in the same room.
It's been a while, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy, and the last time we were...
Was it really?
Yeah, and I think because we did that one and the Fast X in the same day.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember the Fast X, but I don't remember the Guardians. Good. Alright, so today we're talking about Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the two, not a third one.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No. Obviously, the next one will be all three.
Yeah, there's gonna be a sequel.
Maybe.
I think.
I don't know.
Anyways.
We'll get to it.
Did you like anything?
I did. It's as we said. It's not only been a while since we recorded live, but it's also been a while since we recorded like a regular episode. What's that?
You said it's been a while since we recorded live, and I said it's been a while since we recorded dead.
Correct. I mean, very appropriate for this movie.
Ooh, spooky.
Anyway, so since that time, I've read a lot, I've seen a lot, I've watched a lot, but I kind of called down a list, which you can see as well. But I read a book called Surely You Can't Be Serious by Zucker Abrams Zucker, which are the people who created Airplane.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, and it's kind of a biography written by them about when they started and from like their college days and Kentucky Fried Theater, and then how they turned that into a movie, and then eventually turned it all into Airplane, and then working with Leslie Nielsen and all the people and stuff like that. It was a really fun read, and
nice.
Had some interviews with them and other actors that were in the shows and the movies and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty fun. I bought it on a whim because I was at the bookstore and I was like, I'd like Airplane. Why not? And so
good reasoning.
Yeah, but it was a fun read and just kind of a neat glimpse into these guys' lives and just how they kind of put it all together and, started literally just like, it's such a different landscape now, of course, because they're like, oh, we rented like an abandoned warehouse in LA and then built a theater inside of it and then started doing shows and just sold out and,
nice.
the ball was rolling from there. So, but, now it's people use like YouTube or TikTok and stuff like that,
yeah.
right? But anyway, it was a fun read and I do recommend that. I also read a book called Opposable Thumbs by Matt Singer, which was about Siskel and Ebert and their career and them starting their show and everything like that and their writings beforehand and stuff like that.
Does he mention their weird sexism?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was definitely in there. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff in there that I didn't know because I was never the biggest Siskel and Ebert fan either, even though like what we do is essentially a descendant of what they did, right?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So
we don't objectify women as much.
I try not to. Anyway.
No, I just do. You don't.
But it was, like I said, it was still just interesting about everything and the show, and it went all the way up to both their deaths essentially, and because it was a recent publication. So yeah.
Wait, they're both dead?
Yes, because of course.
I knew one of them was dead, but I thought the other one was still kicking.
I thought Ebert died because he had throat cancer.
Oh.
And then he couldn't speak anymore, and so then he mostly just was writing still.
Right.
Thought he died. Man, if I'm wrong, I apologize.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on from that, I read 2 books by John Valiant. He's a Vancouver author.
Oh, cool.
And it was recommended to my buddy. The Fire Weather was. I read The Golden Spruce first, which was about a tree in Haida Gwaii that was a golden fir.
Oh, you were telling me about this a bit. Yeah.
And it's one of a kind. It's unique in the entire world because it's a mutant freak. It can't even reproduce. And, there was a lot more about, like, history of logging and stuff like that in the Pacific Northwest that I didn't really... that's not what I was there for in the story about, because what happened is someone cut the tree down.
Shit.
Yeah, and it was, of course, seen as a great offense and everything like that. It's on indigenous land and everything. So, but it was a fascinating story, and the guy who did it was basically almost like did it as a protest because he was like, we're protecting this plot of land with this golden tree, but right behind it we clear cut it. So he's like, what are we doing? We're destroying the planet as it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was pretty fascinating. The guy clearly had some mental issues and stuff like that, but he was a very skilled logger because basically he had to carry his chainsaw and gear in a trash bag that he swam across an ocean channel, then cut the tree down in the dark, and then like swim back and not die, and he did it in like January.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so,
holy shit.
Yeah, he was pretty out there. But yeah, so that one wasn't as good, or it wasn't what I was expecting. It was still pretty, like, I enjoyed it. I finished the book. But then the next one, Fireweather, was about when Fort Mac burnt down in 2016. And that one was much more engaging, I think, and was also maybe because it was more human story.
Right.
He interviews people that were there, and you also kind of like, this stuff, we don't live there.
Yeah.
I've seen the images, I've seen, video clips and followed the news, but not too much. But this book really goes into detail of just not only the people that were there, but the firefighters, first responders, and everything like that, and the things they were trying to do. And what was kind of fascinating, that there was a crew of firefighters from a small town 3-4 hours away, can't remember the name, and they had experienced something similar, like, less than a decade before, where the whole town burned down.
Oh, shit.
And so he was, like, the fire chief there was like, as soon as he saw the conditions, he was like, hey, I got this new system, we can get up here and, like, get working on it. It was like a way to, like, spray water from, like, a hose system, almost like sprinklers to, like, help rebuff and, like, protect houses or whatever kind of thing. And they were like, Fort Mac was like, nah, it'll be okay, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, by the time they eventually did call that guy, he was like, your whole town's gonna burn.
Oh,
like,
shit.
when he got there, and it hadn't even started burning yet, and he was like, no, we've already lost. He's like, you don't understand, we gotta get everybody out. Anyway, fascinating book. Some of the crazy stuff that they were doing, of course, because it's an oil town, so everybody has, like, trucks and welding equipment and all sorts of stuff, and it's just causing more fires, right?
Yeah.
So,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was a great read, very interesting, very well read, like, in-depth, and just, kept me very glued to the book. I was just like, I burned through the book, put no pun intended there.
No.
But pretty quickly, because it was a very good read. I'll mention Upgrade by Blake Crouch. He is the guy who wrote Recursion and Black Matter, and I've basically figured out that he writes, like, airport thriller type books, like a Dean Koontz or whatever kind of thing, but with a sci-fi twist.
Nice.
Because that's what this book was. Upgrade was a book about people who get genetically upgraded to become smarter, stronger, faster, and it's a sister and a brother. They both have it happen to them involuntarily by their mom, who was, like, this crazy geneticist or whatever, and it's illegal, like, because of their mom, the world experienced a hardcore famine, so, like, genetic tampering is illegal. She went rogue, and then upgrades the two of them, and the sister's like, we got to do this to everybody, and he's like, no, maybe we should try to find another way.
Yeah.
And then it's just basically, like, it's almost an ideological conflict, and then occasionally an actual physical conflict. It was good. It was, like I said, it's just like an airport thriller with a sci-fi twist. And then, I read a graphic novel called Black Sad by Juan Diaz Canales and Juan Garnido. They're Spanish, one of them is for sure. But
they both sound Spanish.
Yeah, well, I think one's from Spain, I think one worked in France.
Okay.
And maybe, but basically it's a detective noir graphic novel, but with the main character, Black Sad, is a panther. He's an anthropomorphized panther.
Oh,
and
cool.
so, like, that's why he's Black Sad. He's a black panther.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right. But then, there's, like, cats and dogs, people and bird people, and what have you. But there's no humans, so it's not like a BoJack scenario.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was just like a noir story. I heard about it on, like, a podcast, and it was basically, like, award-winning before it even, like, finished its first print run. Like, early readers, like, critics got copies, and they were like, this is, like, the best thing ever. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, classic detective noir stuff where, there's a murder, and he's got to get in there, and it's all corruption, and etc. It goes right to the top.
Nice, nice. Always to the top.
Always to the top. But yeah, they were good. I think there was, like, 2 volumes, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. TI just happened, the International Dota tournament.
God. I'm dyslexic because when I saw that on your list, I'm like, did it get another chapter?
There's a new chapter 3.
Good.
Yeah. No, but the International, the Dota tournament just happened, literally ended yesterday. And it's always fun for me to watch. I enjoy that. I don't play Dota as much as I, would like to, because it's just takes a long time to play the game. But I still enjoy watching it. It's funny now because Dota, like, when I first started playing Dota, it was complex, but it's become more complex, almost exponentially so, since I started playing.
Nice.
To the point where, like, now if you're watching it, you don't know what you're looking at, you have no idea what you're looking at, right? Like, it's so
Yeah,
many effects on the screen.
I've never had any idea what I'm looking at when you
Sure.
show me Dota.
Yeah, but like when I watched the previous TIs, one of the first or second ones I ever watched, they had like a newbie stream with Purge, and he literally, it was a whole separate screen, and he kind of like explained more of the abilities and the time.
Oh, cool.
He didn't shot call as quickly or play call because he was more explaining everything, and I learned a ton.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
But they don't do that really anymore.
Fair, because it's too hard.
Yeah, it's probably too much and too hard to do, but it's still pretty cool, and it's always fun to watch like the players that can play at the top level, just like the moves and some of the risks and some of the things, and Dota does have like a catch-up mechanic, so if like you're winning hardcore, if I get some good moves in, maybe I could catch up, but if the team's good and they don't make the mistakes, they can still like just never lose, essentially, right? Like, you just keep piling your advantage and stuff like that, so sometimes it does swing back and forth, but other times it doesn't, and the other team just wins it out. But yeah, it was good. Played Borderlands 3 finally, finished that.
Nice.
It was much bigger than I was anticipating for like the first-person shooter. Like, I've played 1 and 2. I think 2 even also still has a lot of stuff. 3, I was blown away by how much content was in the game. I was actually kind of surprised.
But did you watch the movie?
No.
Sure.
One thing, this is a spoiler for a decade-old game now at one point, but
no!
I finished the last boss, and then the screen, there's like there's some fanfare and some music, and then it fades to black, and it says Borderlands will continue and then it just a 4 pops on the screen, and I was like, wow, they really did that, and I haven't heard about this, that they just, and because like technically the story wasn't over really, and I was like, really? I was like, wow, I was like, impressive. And then eventually, like, after like 20 seconds, it counts down. It goes like 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the story continues. And I was like, okay, well done. Because I was like, wow, if that happened, I'm surprised there wasn't more like internet outrage about it. And I was kind of like, okay, they set up, right, because the villains are twins, and then you kill the first twin and that happens. And I was like, wow, okay, really setting up that second one for the next game. But that didn't happen. Anyway. It was good fun. If you like a looter shooter, it's right up the alley there.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. X-Men 97, the animated show, that ran. It was incredible. Highly recommend.
Nice.
Because of, the strikes and other things, now the second season is not going to be for 3 years or whatever, but that's life. But the first one was really good.
Excellent.
The storylines were incredible. The animation was great. If you liked previous X-Men cartoon, I mean, it's a continuation. It was the right amount of like nostalgia, but awesome for me anyway.
Nice.
Yeah, I really liked it. And Furiosa, also Mad Max Furiosa.
I thought you talked about this already.
I don't think so. I've had this list for a while.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Keep going.
Maybe impersonal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But anyway, it was really good. I enjoyed it. Much closer to Mad Max 2-3 versus Fury Road, because Fury Road is just a beast. And it would have been nice if they had done it and Charlize could have played Furiosa again, because she did want to.
She's so good at that.
Yeah, and it's not
I didn't even like Fury Road, but I liked her in it.
Yeah, and it's not like Charlize Theron has aged poorly and couldn't have played the character again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a hag.
Exactly. You know what I mean, right? But, they gave Anya Taylor-Joy the nod. I thought she was good. And it was... The only thing that was kind of... I can see it's double-edged, is that there was some more CG, maybe some more green screen, some more sets, versus we're stuck in a desert in Namibia for 6 months.
Right.
So... But that's probably good, because it was less miserable. But I'm sure there was still some misery, because then they're in the Australian desert for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? But I still enjoyed it, and do recommend. Alien Romulus came, next Alien movie. I got complicated thoughts. I liked a lot of it.
And you didn't like some of it?
Didn't like some of it, but overall, it was pretty decent.
Cool.
I like the main actress, the Garland girl. She was good.
Excellent. But did she have hobbies?
Yeah, there were some mention of hobbies. Mostly trying to get off world. And the last thing I'll mention just happened this weekend, on a Friday, actually.
I also watched it.
It was the Grand Tour's last episode.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was kind of just,
It was cool that they went back to their first special. They ended it where they had their first...
say that's a spoiler.
No. Well, people people must know that they've gone to Zambia. Or no.
They go to Zimbabwe and then they go to Botswana.
That's right, yeah. People must know that, though.
Maybe. I don't know. I was just saying.
Listen, if people care about spoilers for the Grand Tour, they've already watched this, one, and two, they knew where they were going.
Yes. No. I also agree. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And when they find the old cars, that was also pretty incredible. I was like, wow, that is a nostalgia trip for the ages. But I was going to say, what was kind of nice about it was like just like almost like a simpler special where they didn't do like all sorts of crazy stuff. It was just like a nostalgia trip for themselves almost, of just like, we're going to get these cars and we're just driving and feeling the emotions. And, they do the rail thing. Cool, that's fun.
Yeah.
On some washboard stuff. They buy boats, which was nice.
That was fun,
Until Hammond starts sinking for no reason.
In the crocodile-infested water.
Exactly.
It was great.
And I do love that, though, where we were like, okay, here's the lake. And then he's like, so I flipped the map. And it turns out it's the largest man-made lake in the world. And you're like, what?
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
They're like, it'll take us 18 hours to cross it.
So there was some classic stuff like that. But, I liked it for, it was just kind of like, just as simple, we're just driving around, having a good time. And then, like you said, the ending in Botswana there was pretty nice. I don't even I'm not a hardcore Top Gear fan in head, but I was just like, I love it.
Just watched the first special again.
Oh, really?
Because Richard Hammond's show, have you ever watched that?
Mm-mm.
So he has a car restoration garage thing.
It before,
and so in the first special, he gets Oliver, which he takes home with him. Because I don't know if you've seen the special, but he gets so attached to his car.
Oh, really? So that's why it wasn't there.
Yeah, because the other two, they had to take the doors off. They shot the floor of the car to, empty the water out and stuff like that. Nice. But he loved Oliver, and so he took Oliver home with him. And it actually comes up in other specials.
Right.
There was one where... Anyways, they had to put something they love in peril, so they they put Oliver in peril. Anyways, in this show, he finds the same kind of car, but in a shiny red, so he buys it and names it Olivia. So he has Oliver and Olivia.
Nice.
But I had watched that, so I had to go watch the first special, and then I ended up,
watching the final one.
Yeah, and it was just so recent in my mind.
That's very
kind of nice.
No, I had no idea, of course, because I'm not the hugest Top Gear guy, and then
I'm not the hugest Top Gear gal, but my friend is, and so I've learned a lot about Top Gear now.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like I said, I've always enjoyed it whenever I can catch it, but I've never just been watching Top Gear.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was a nice send off.
Yeah, I thought so too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's it for me with my big list.
Nice.
What about yourself, Devin? Anything you want to highlight?
So I watched season 3 of Bridgerton. You get to see Penelope's boobs.
Well, I guess I should load that up right now.
Bye! It was fun. I liked it. I still think for peak silly romance, season 2 of Bridgerton is my favorite because there's just so many ridiculous scenes in it, but I enjoyed season 3. I thought it was great. Penelope's one of the best characters, so that was fun. I also watched the Queen Charlotte Bridgerton spin-off about Queen Charlotte, which was also very good, but get tissues ready if you're going to watch it, because it was very sad. I watched The Diplomat on Netflix, which I have mixed feelings about. Have you heard of it at all?
I haven't, no. I was about to ask, what is that?
So it's starring Kerry Russell.
Okay.
And she plays an American diplomat who, in the first episode, she's supposed to go to, I can't remember, somewhere in the Middle East. I think Iraq, but I'm not entirely sure. And
to do diplomacy.
And it's a big deal because she's the first female diplomat that they've let go there, and it was going to open up doors for other women in that area.
Sure.
And at the last minute, there's an attack on a British ship, and they think that it's Iraq, I think.
Right.
I can't remember now.
The country that she's supposed to be at. Okay, yeah.
So the president asks her to go be the diplomat in the UK instead, which she doesn't want to do because that's more of a ceremonial role, and she's used to being like hands-on kind of stuff. And the Prime Minister of the UK is played by the guy from Men, and he's very good at it. Nice. The only guy in Men.
Yeah, the guy in Men.
Yeah. But anyways, she goes there, and it's a lot of like really interesting like strategizing and like, oh, this guy said this, so how do I react? And she's trying to balance like the because the other factor is that the Secretary of State knows that the Vice President is going to have to step down soon, and she wants Carrie Russell to take her place.
Okay.
Because of scandals or whatever.
Sure.
And so they're trying to like groom her to be like really polished and in the public eye, but she's used to being like this hands-on, like doing actual work, and like she's like, I don't want to wear a dress, like that's stupid. I don't want to get a stylist, right?
I'm Carrie Russell.
Yeah. So it's a really cool, like that's really cool. And then she has like her husband who's also a diplomat, but he's like not allowed. Like he's pissed off the UK, so
right. So you can't
he's
go
just
there.
being he's there with her,
oh,
but
okay,
he's just being like the helpful spouse, and it's like a weird role for him, and their marriage is kind of falling apart, and like so it's all this like interesting like dialogue and intrigue and like people in suits discussing things and like being like, oh, if we do this, they're gonna do this, like kind of intrigue stuff. And then the last episode, it turns into a thriller in, like, the last 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh. Like, that's not why I was watching this show.
Right. Yeah, because I was going to say, from what your premise, what you said initially, I was expecting it's like, oh, she either gets kidnapped or then gets put into some kind of action situation.
No, it was cool, and it felt, like, realistic almost, like, the meetings that they were having and stuff like that. And even when there is, like, some cloak and dagger stuff.
Is this like an Aaron Sorkin project or something?
I don't know.
Sounds like really kind of up his alley.
Oh, maybe. But then, last 5 minutes, explosions that were stupid.
Because he's the West Wing guy, that's what I was asking.
Oh, yeah, I could see that, yeah. Anyway, season 2 comes out soon.
Okay.
So, one, I was, like, disappointed because for whatever reason, I misread it. I thought it was a limited series.
Right, and that this would be it.
Yeah, and then it's like, no, cliffhanger. So. Sure. But yeah, I do almost recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
There.
I don't really know what audience they're going for, because if you're in it for the intrigue...
Yeah. The thriller part, you're like,
they ruin it.
Yeah.
And if you're in it for the thriller, you have to go through like 8 episodes, 8 and like...
Of business meetings.
To get there, so...
Yeah.
I'll see. Maybe I'll like season 2 better.
Sure, yeah, maybe.
What else did I watch? Been a long time. I know.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to go through everything. Like I said, I cut my list down too.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'll leave it there because I have no memory of anything else that I've been doing.
You know one thing, and I think we talked about. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say have been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3.
Nice.
I am not very far in the game because I'm very bad at it, and I have to do the fights over and over and over again. But
it's all about the good times.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a great game. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I think I don't think because I finished Rings of Power season 1. Season 2 is out.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it yet.
I still haven't finished Rings of Power season 1.
Because it was funny because I was like, you know what? I didn't hate that at the end of the day.
Okay.
There was things I didn't like about it, but there was actually more that I liked than I thought. And I was like,
You know what the problem is, I think, with me and Rings of Power? Is that every time I'm feeling nostalgic for Lord of the Rings, I'm like, I'll
watch Lord of the Rings.
I'll throw on Rings of Power. But, like, even though there's a lot of similar visuals and sounds, it's got a very different tone. Like, I think it has been very much influenced by, like, House of Dragons and Game of Thrones type shows. Sure. And so when I watch it, I'm like, this isn't Lord of the Rings. Yeah. What is this? Right? So maybe I need to watch it when I feel like watching Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because that ended. Season 2 of House of the Dragon. That was something you watched.
Oh, I did watch that.
Because I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, it's good.
Okay. I've seen some mixed reactions on the internet, I'll admit.
It's, I enjoyed it for the journey.
Okay.
There wasn't, like the... You know how usually, like, with the penultimate episode a bunch of shit happens and then they
Gotta set
resolve
up.
it.
Yeah, set it up for the final episode.
Yeah, not really in the season.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to happen all the time.
Yeah.
But, you'd think because there's an actual war on,
Yeah.
that there'd be something.
Yeah, they waffled a little bit, but I enjoyed all the performances, and I do really enjoy, the way the dragons look and the personalities they give the dragons. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wish that the second half of the show had less of the Eye Patch Kid.
Right.
And I would have liked more of the Eye Patch Kid.
Yeah.
And it was a bit, without spoiling it, how many episodes have you watched?
Only 3.
Okay.
So I'm really, really bad. Because I actually really like the cinematography in episode 2.
I don't remember.
There was some really good cinematography in that
cool.
one, actually. That stood out to me a lot. There was some really good stuff. That's the one where Damon goes to, that castle, and then it's all dark.
Yeah.
And
So
there was some great cinematography with Rhaenyra as well on, the coastal city, or Harrenhal, or whatever. Anyway.
without spoiling too much.
Yeah.
Damon stays there for the rest of the season.
Yes, that's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, as fun as it is to watch Matt Smith go crazy in a castle, you want Damon to go hit things.
Yeah.
That's his whole point.
That's his whole point, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. We can talk Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Ah!
Oh, yeah, what'd you think?
I think both of us similarly...
Wait. First of all,
Okay.
to the guy who sat behind us and told us to shut up during the trailers. We don't talk during movies, but talking during trailers is fine, and you need to chill out.
I endorse that.
Also, if you're gonna tell people to shut up during the trailers, don't be on your phone for the whole fucking movie. If you just came to watch the Joker trailer, then, do that on your own time, on your computer.
Yeah,
Anyway.
because it wasn't until the Joker one that he asked us to be quiet.
Of course it was
And
until
it was
the
just
Joker one.
Dude, we're not even that loud. Anyway, I think, like I was saying previously, I went in pretty low expectations. I think you're the same. I was very curious because these legacy sequels, whatever you want to call them, they can be good or bad, or what are they even going to do? And I was actually pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed this far more than I thought I was going to. And yeah, I laughed, at a lot of the jokes, and, maybe not super laugh out loud, but chuckling. I also chuckled at a lot of the references or things that are not totally a reference, but it's a tertiary reference to something. There was a connection in my brain to either another Tim Burton thing or to something else that made me laugh. And so, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the entire show, as it were.
Yeah, same. I was worried that it was going to be a soulless husk of CG.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I prefer the first Beetlejuice movie. I was worried that it wouldn't have the heart because it didn't have the Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin couple to kind of ground us.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things too, because Keaton is only in both Beetlejuice movies for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you need something else.
Yeah,
right? And like you said, that was them discovering the land of the dead and all that other kind of stuff like this. This in this movie, it's all our other characters, Lydia Dietz, Astrid, and her mom, and stuff like that. So, which again, I was surprised they were as in it as much, or at least especially Catherine O'Hara. I thought for sure she would have a cameo, and that's it.
Yeah.
She was in the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean, just based on movies existing in the world.
Yeah.
What I expected was that it was going to be heavily focused on Jenna Ortega's character, and that it would be I thought that it was just going to be a lot more obnoxious than it was, to be totally frank, right?
Yeah. Well, and this also could bleed a little bit, because I haven't seen Wednesday. I know you watched it.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of
Wednesday is interesting because it's very popular, and there were parts of it I enjoyed, but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't fully feel like an Addams Family franchise piece. It feels like a teen drama, but mixed with Nancy Drew, because she's trying to solve this mystery.
Oh, okay.
Throughout it, so it's kind of got the teen detective
I mean, that's kind of fun, taking it in a different direction, though.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't have that, like, Adam's, like, yeah, she's dark and weird, I guess, but it doesn't feel as Adam's Family-y as, like, say, Adam's Family or Adam's Family Values.
Sure.
Yeah.
Both great movies.
Yeah.
No, but, and, because I, again, didn't know much going in. All I could just tell from the poster, of course, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good casting, you know, Jenna Ortega in there as Winona Ryder's daughter, cool. And I was like, it's got Monica Bellucci in there, cool.
Gorgeous as a corpse.
Yeah, and so I was like...
And not as a corpse.
I like the cast that was assembled, and Willem Dafoe being in there.
Yeah,
that was great. And so I was kind of like, okay, you know... and like I said, I was just more curious. That's why, because there's been other movies that have come up that I'm kind of like, I don't suggest we see them for the show or whatever, because I'm just like, no, I'm out. Yeah. Right? Like, even Alien Romulus, like...
I don't care.
You don't care. So it's kind of like, yeah. But I was kind of, you know, I went and saw it. But I thought I would suggest this because we're both of that age. That I watched the Beetlejuice cartoon. Right?
Oh,
they made a cartoon out of Beetlejuice, which I found this had a lot of that cartoon elements.
Yeah. Totally did. Yeah.
Because the cartoon really played up that he was like a trickster demon, essentially.
Yeah.
And this movie also played that up, and I was like, yeah.
Great, perfect, yeah.
Exactly.
Carry on, yeah.
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised. And I also didn't know going in whether it was directed or just produced by Burton. Mm-hmm. Directed it.
Yeah.
But there was some different writers. I was kind of surprised to see that it wasn't him.
Oh, yeah.
Alfred Gu, Miles Miller, and Seth Graham-Smith. I don't know which one of them. There was like one of the trivia ones where one of them's had like a Beetlejuice 2 script for like 12 years and has been trying to be like, we should do this. But...
you know, I've never felt the need for a second Beetlejuice movie because it's such a contained story.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you know, because like Winona Ryder's arc is that, you know, she feels othered from her parents.
Isolated.
Yeah, isolated. And then she kind of finds some surrogate parents in the ghosts, which suits her. And it also helps kind of repair her relationship with her parents by the end of it. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. And then, you know, the couple that wanted kids kind of get a kid of their own. And even though they're dead, they learn how to, like, live
coexist
with being dead. Yeah. And, you know, it's like a nice little, everybody gets wrapped up at the end of that. I've never watched it and thought like, oh, there's so much more story that could be told here. But it's the same with Edward Scissorhands too, right? Like, but I guess maybe that's the next thing that they'll make a sequel of.
Oh, God.
Starring Timothy Chalamet as young Edward Scissorhands and...
I mean, he's got the look.
Jenna Ortega as...
young Winona Ryder.
Young Winona Ryder.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was $100 million budget, which is modest for these days, although hilariously it's like 4 times the budget of Beetlejuice is like adjusted for inflation or adjusted for value, because I think the first one cost like 15 mil or whatever.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But so far it's made $264 million worldwide at the box, so, you know,
made their money back.
I don't know how much of a marketing push they've done, but they've made some money, which is...
It's on a lot of buses.
Yeah. I think, there's buses and posters and stuff like that. And then shout out, of course, the costume designer Colleen Atwood. She's a long-time Burton collaborator when I was looking at her credits. Yeah. And, you know...
I did really like that Lydia Dietz is still wearing, like, the same clothes that she wore when she was a teenager and had the same hair.
Well, and also it was like, and Colleen was saying that, like, they were like, we want her to continue her goth look, but like classier in some areas, right? Because, you know, she's wearing like corselets and like whatever. You know, but other stuff like the dress that she wears for like that one scene, it's like that's literally the same dress from the girls' school. Yeah, because it's all faded and everything. I was just like, that's literally the same thing.
It's great.
Yeah,
I do feel like it's like people, because I think Winona Ryder, does she count as like Gen X? I guess.
I assume so. Yeah.
Like Gen X and millennials, I feel like a lot of us are just trying to be who we were when we were teenagers.
Well, and one thing, again, going back to her hair, there was a comment from the makeup person that was also like, they did her makeup and probably then by extension her hair to always look like 4 hours older than it should, like kind of like it's because she's always like frazzled and like in a state of like decay or disrepair and like just like kind of thing. Sorry, yes, continue your point there. Yeah, just
It was just like people of our age.
well, and especially because she's continuing, she sees ghosts and she
Yeah.
does a show about seeing
Does the
ghosts,
ghost,
so
yeah.
it's kind of just like also part of her image,
Yeah,
right? To be
totally.
like, I'm wearing goth clothes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, with the cast, of course, Keaton's back with Beetlejuice, and they were saying for his costume, of course, they like took all his original suits and just like aged them.
Nice.
And to be like, yeah, he's just been working in this,
and wearing the same
wearing
thing.
the same thing and stuff like that, right? And made him fatter, of course, and everything, right? Because I was like, man, he's got the gut going on there. And then I was really surprised by the scene where they do like origin story for him.
Oh my god, that was so brilliant.
It was brilliant, hilarious, and just like
well executed.
But I was also kind of like, wow, I was not ever expecting a Beetlejuice backstory.
So, I mean, the only gripe I have with that is that I just don't want backstories for everything anymore.
Exactly.
I love the way they executed it, and I loved the way it was shot, and it was hilarious. But I'm like, it would have been fun if, maybe that wasn't actually his backstory.
Sure.
Maybe he was just telling a story. Yeah. But that's a minor.
Yeah, because I think it's obviously a reference from the first movie. I think he probably says something about the Black Death and how he was like had a great time. And so then...
Yeah, he also, like, when he...
pulls out the wedding ring...
Wedding ring and the fingers.
Finger, yeah. And then says, she meant nothing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, that origin, while... Yeah, it could just be made up because, of course, he is a trickster demon, but it was just, like, it came so out of nowhere and was well executed in that way. And, yeah, that leads into Monica Bellucci's character, how she's a soul sucker. And has to put herself together, a la Sally, which was really well done.
With the staple gun?
Yeah.
She's great. I mean, she didn't really have much of anything to do in this movie.
She was just a background threat.
Yeah, like be hot and float around hallways.
Yeah,
but
it was almost like, she was like the ticking clock element.
Yeah, totally.
Just like an embodiment of it. That she's going to catch up one time.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was just always so funny because there would be some sort of scene, and it would literally just cut to her in that floating hallway shot, and just like, back to whatever else is going on, just to be like, okay, she's in the area.
She's
I guess.
Still here.
Yeah, she's in the zone. But yeah, I liked how there was IMDb trivia. It's like she did her own dub for Italian or whatever. It's like, yeah, she's Italian.
She's Italian. What do you expect?
Exactly.
I got a little bit mixed up because they mix up her and Isabella Rossellini sometimes. And I was like, oh, that's so clever, because Isabella Rossellini, of course, was in Death Becomes Her as, like, the magic witch kind of character. And I'm like, oh, that would have been fun to, like, kind of tie those movies a little bit, like, at least thematically.
Right.
Monica Bellucci is great, too.
She was great as well. Yeah, and then as mentioned, of course, Willem Dafoe playing... of actor playing the police chief.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah, he's just
that
over
makeup
the top.
was sharp. That looked like kind of good.
Well, and like you said, they were really trying to lean into the practicality effects, right? Of everything.
Which is great.
Yeah, all the sets and everything.
Because I just thought it was going to be like a squishy CG mess, to be totally honest.
Absolutely. Like, I was also... That's why I was curious about this movie. I'm just
I thought it was
what are they
going to be,
do?
like, dark and gross looking.
Yeah.
And, like, it was dark and gross looking.
On
but
purpose.
I mean, like, lighting-wise, like, you weren't going to be able to see anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what they always do. Same, what do you call it? Gripes I have about everything.
Well, I liked with him because he had like the brain injury that causes death, and then his assistant, who was clearly shot, but we never get who or how or how she was shot.
Yeah.
It's just in her heart, and her dress is damaged, and she's just always there with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's such a great role.
Yeah, it's just that was pretty funny.
He's just having the coffee so he could squish it.
Or throw them, or do. And he's just talking cop cliches the entire time.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he just wants to do that. And then, Danny DeVito, small uncredited role as the janitor from the beginning. Apparently he was approached to play Beetlejuice in the first one, so that's why he was kind of like, he's like, I'll just show up for this, have some fun.
Yeah. What else? I'm looking at your list.
Oh yeah, Justin Theroux as Rory, who was the fiancé character, who was like the one that everyone wants to get their comeuppance. He was supposed to be kind of like the Otho surrogate from the first movie, of course.
I see,
because that actor is dead.
Oh.
But I don't know. It worked and didn't work. He was just like every liberal cliche you could think of to the 11th in one guy.
Yeah.
And also faking it.
And also really what bothered me the most about him is that I couldn't place him until after when I Googled it on my phone, and I'm like, oh, of course I know him from Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Yeah. I also, like, I recognize the name, but I also don't recognize him, like, from other projects he's been in.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, he's a guy.
He's he plays like an Irish guy in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Right.
Drew Barrymore's ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
He wants to kill her.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was on TV the other day.
Oh my god, did you stop and watch it?
No, I was doing other things. But
Nothing's more important than Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
yeah, and I guess we could mention the Jenna Ortega plot line. That's Arthur Conti, I believe. Was he Jeremy?
I don't know.
I think it was, his name was Jeremy.
I can't tell these young children apart.
Yeah, fair enough. No, but it was funny, I was reading a thing, like how he auditioned over Zoom, did like a screen test with Ortega for like a chemistry check or whatever kind of thing, and then he got the role on April 1st, so he thought it was a joke.
Oh no!
Yeah, and he's like, no, I didn't. Whatever. But, because he was actually in House of the Dragon as like a cupbearer, apparently. And I was like, okay, interesting.
Good for him.
But for me, the funniest was, of course, is that he's like the tallest adolescent ever, and Ortega's
so tiny.
like tiny. Yeah. But yeah, you called it immediately. I was thinking, especially after you were I wasn't thinking he was dead. I thought the parents were definitely dead, but he wasn't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then when the reveal that he was also dead, I was like, oh, okay, actually clever. You know.
Kind of, I was like, oh no, they're gonna do a stupid fucking romance for teenagers in the middle of this fucking movie, and I was getting like grumpy, and then when it turned out that's not the case, so
he's a jerk.
Spoilers. He's a murderer.
Yeah.
And he was using her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was like, that's so boring. If
and
just
then there was some stakes raised.
Yeah.
Right? Because before this point in the movie, essentially nothing's happened. Winona Ryder, okay, she's having difficulties with her daughter. Her dad is dead. Mm-hmm. And Beetlejuice is floating around, kind of messing with her, but nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And then finally this is kind of going on. You're like, okay, there's some stakes here. Yeah. She's getting dragged to the land of the dead. That can't be good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was at least well enough done, like, even if you clock it earlier, but it was kind of like...
It was a fun reveal.
That's what I mean, yeah. The reveal was good, where the real estate agent's like, oh, that murder house, blah, 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 and you're like, uh-oh, murder house. Yeah.
I think I've just watched too many movies that I can, like, clock
it,
things quickly, kind of, I
try not to, is kind of like
I try not to either, but I was like, this is so obvious.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, yeah.
I was thinking maybe something different might happen, but that's always my hope.
Yeah.
is the less obvious thing occurs, but...
Don't be silly. It's always the obvious thing.
No, that's fine. It was still well executed and stuff like that. And it's also like, when she crashes through the fence, like the fence is obviously older than like the other fence beside it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, there were some hints and stuff like that too. But yeah, it was good. Resolved
instantly
though.
They're like, done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's the point. Beetlejuice is effective.
Yeah.
She calls him in for help.
Signs a contract to marry him.
If he helps her get her daughter's soul and life back. But before that, I did like the scene with Thoreau and her when he just is like, I don't believe you, you need to confront this, and he just Beetlejuices 3 times, and then they're just in a couple's like therapy office.
Yeah.
And then that was an unexpected gag. He's like, you gotta spill your guts, and he just opens up his jacket and guts spill everywhere. And I was just like, that one made me laugh. I liked that one a lot.
That was pretty good. Yeah,
it was a good gag. And then she escapes by saying home, home, which of course is from the first movie.
Yeah.
But
Gene Davis says it.
Yes, but I like that. Of course, then I assume up to that point, Thoreau has always been kind of like, I'm just humoring her and her visions and stuff like that, and seeing ghosts or whatever. And it's like, no. It's real.
Yeah.
You just saw a ghost. And then he's in full denial. Like, he's giving out candy at Halloween.
Yeah, he's
oh, there was a ghost upstairs.
So good.
Yeah, and then, she, Winona Ryder, wants Beetlejuice's help. And then he's just like, but it was just so weird, like, because he's like, they're going, they escape, or he gets to the land of the dead with her. And he's like, okay, you got to go, like, 3 doors down and take a right or whatever. And then he's like, I got to go over here. but you don't like. What was he doing over there? Just like he had a lunch that day or something. He's like, I can't be on set for longer than 4 hours.
I got a doctor's appointment.
Yeah. But it was just kind of odd. And then she saves them, and they meet her dad, not Winona Ortega's dad, Winona Ryder's ex-husband or ex-partner, whatever.
Yeah.
He died in a unfortunate piranha-related incident.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, they have a nice moment, and then they're like, hey, we're back in the land of the dead. And I was like, I think, like I said to you, after, because like I said, slow build up, and then there's a middle portion there setting some things up, but once it starts going, it just kept going, which I did appreciate. It just is like, we're on the train to the end. The movie's only hour 45 or something like that, so it was just like solid 25, 30 minutes of just happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So I appreciated that.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I'm going to kind of cut to the end here. So at the end of the movie, there's the big musical number. Mm-hmm. Lots of fun. Mm-hmm. And in the musical number, Beetlejuice turns to the camera and says, I love a good dream sequence.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends with a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Do you think the whole movie was a dream sequence? Do you think
from that point on?
Yeah, from that point on is a dream sequence? Do you think it was just referencing the dream sequence that was coming up? Because there's no reason for him to just randomly say in the middle of a musical number, I love a good dream sequence.
I was kind of thinking that was just reference to all the actions that were taking place during the dream sequence, or the song sequence. Them floating and all the stuff happening.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought at the time, but then when I revisited, I'm like, is this an Inception situation?
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking that end dream sequence was just like, bad dream she has and the movie's over, fun, whatever, right, kind of thing. But
because I'm wondering if they're going to have a Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And in that movie, if it's going to be revealed that perhaps the ending wasn't the ending, because they do have that wiggle room if they wanted to do that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, everything did kind of wrap up nicely in that Corpse Bride comes along, Monica Bellucci.
Yeah. It's eaten by a sandworm.
Her and Thoreau.
Yeah.
Just eaten by a sandworm. From, like, classic movie ending from the first. And then Beetlejuice... Jenna Ortega's like, no, there's
something wrong with the
contract. You used the loophole,
yeah.
So the contract is void. Boom, Lydia doesn't have to marry you now.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of liked that callback to the first movie.
Yeah,
that it was like, it was the plot point in the first movie, and now it's the plot point now at the end of this movie. I was kind of like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
It was because she signed it earlier in the movie, and she was just doing it because she's like, I need to like get my daughter back. Cool.
This, on a side note, I do think that Lydia and Beetlejuice make a good
team,
like good partners.
Yeah.
I don't know if, he's obviously got some stuff going on, but like, I was like, part of me was almost like, I kind of wish they did get married.
I was kind of like, if that happened, I'd be like, all right,
cool, yeah. I can't think of anyone better for Lydia.
Yeah. No, but that's an interesting kind of like thought that. What was the reality of the situation at the end? I don't know. I was more just thinking that it was all the events of the dance number because the cake's bleeding goo of some sort, and this and that is happening.
It's so
specific
to what happens at the end of the movie that I'm like, is like a point in this movie? Did this movie become a is there a point in this movie where this movie became a dream sequence?
Yeah, because like obviously the ending. Because it's like her and Jenna, and they go to Transylvania. She sees a dude, and it's like, okay, flash forward to them like having a child,
and then it's demon baby.
Yeah, and it's like, and then she wakes up, dream sequence,
just like Sydney Sweeney and Immaculate.
Sure. This one was a little more active.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's I hadn't really thought about it in that way, but I suppose that's up to interpretation.
I guess maybe.
For me, it's just the dance number
too much.
Yeah. For me, Beetlejuice. The dance number part then happened. Those people died again-ish, and Beetlejuice exploded. But he's around still. He's Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it's Beetlejuice. He'll always
and then Willem Dafoe's like, okay, you and Catherine O'Hara. The Catherine O'Hara death was like too obviously telegraphed. But I did like that. She's like, I died in an embarrassing way.
Yeah. I did also like that when she finally meets up with her husband,
Yeah, yeah.
and his head's all ripped off because he was
Eaten by a shark.
eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
She's like, "Did you see what happened to me?"
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that was funny as well. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Sorry, but I have no real answer. I think for me, it's just the.
It also doesn't really matter.
I guess so. Yeah.
Doesn't really change the movie
No.
if it is or isn't a dream sequence. But it did leave me wondering because it's so specific to what happens.
Yeah. I think.
And he goes out of his way to look at the audience,
Yes.
right? I love a good dream sequence,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not to a character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I was thinking that it was just like the events of the dance number because they kind of escalate.
It
from
does
that
becomes
point.
very dreamlike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I was going with.
That's what I thought in the moment, but then
Sure.
the other shit happened, and I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It was good. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It wasn't like the greatest movie ever. Maybe on a revisit, I would find it less good or more good. I don't know. But at the time, I enjoyed the watch.
So, you know how I complain all the time about, like, movies making little TikTok scenes?
Sure.
This movie did have, like, scenes that would be very easy to pick out of the movie without context and put it on TikTok. Like, for example, when Monica Bellucci is stapling herself together.
Sure.
The dance number at the end. But it didn't bother me in this movie, and I think it's because of, like, the Beetlejuice vibe.
Sure. Well, and like, they were more integrated into what was going on, like those moments versus like it just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, like what was it? The season 3 opener of Umbrella Academy.
That's what I was thinking.
Where they do the stupid like line dance off thing. Just like, yeah, they kind of gave you a loose reason for that to be in there. But the real reason it's in there is because there was a dance scene in the first one that went kind of viral on TikTok.
So we gotta do it again.
So you gotta do it again, but bigger! Ha! Jazz hands!
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just trying to think. Here's one thing I was kind of surprised, or two things I was kind of surprised at. We can go with some controversy, I guess. I was surprised that the Deo song was in the movie as the funeral dirge. I
would think that they would not want to relive that. But...
Well, and also the song is like, we now know, fairly not cool because it's about a slave plantation type situation where a guy's got to pick bananas and stuff like that. Anyway, but I know it was obviously a reference to the first movie, blah, blah, blah.
I did like the arrangement of it, though.
Sure.
That was fun.
And I was really shocked by the Soul Train situation. When they said, okay, he's got to go on the Soul Train, I was like, cool, a Soul Train, that's a fun reference, done. But then there's literal disco dancing Soul Train people, and I was like, wow, that's out there. Like, I don't mind the disco vibe, and everyone's having a good time, but I was also like, really?
I'm not sure, like, who would... Like, I guess... The thing is that Tim Burton's made this movie, and he's old now.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess he's not really going for the youth of today to understand it, I guess. But...
I don't know, it just seemed... Not, like, overly racist, but just weird.
Yeah, diet racist.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of, like, too obvious almost again. And I was like, okay, I guess. Like, I thought, the train would pull up maybe, and then she goes in, and then there's disco, like, music playing or something like that.
Oh, that would be reasonable, yeah.
Kind of fun. And then you have, like, your fun conductor guy.
Yeah.
But not the whole dance troupe of all of them doing a big thing. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah. I think, like... The purpose of it was to, like, have the crowd to get lost in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do know exactly what you mean. yeah.
But I did like the board showing all the destinations of the Soul Train.
Yeah, that was
caught
fun.
that. Like, it was pretty quick, but there was, like, Elysium was on there and a couple others, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of fun.
That's fun, yeah.
Like,
what would have been fun is having people disco dance, but not in 70s.
That's what I was expecting.
In, like, all different eras of clothing. That would have been a little bit more interesting.
Well, or I was just expecting...
And all different ethnicities. Maybe not just have the only black characters be disco dancers.
Well, and I was just expecting it to be busy with, like, other people.
Yeah.
Not just Jenna Ortega. Like, because there was a couple other people that got on the train aside from the dancers, but it was like you said, there should be tons of people trying to get on the Soul Train then.
And if there was tons of people in different eras of clothing and different, like...
Well, I just mean like a waiting room that's like, you got construction guys and you got these people.
Like, so if you had that kind of going on, and then they were all kind of just milling about until the train pulled up and the disco music started, and then they all started compelled to start dancing.
Sure, there you go.
And like Jenna Ortega too.
Yeah.
That would have been fun, but
there you go, yeah.
I'm not Tim Burton.
No, but I like that note. That's a good kind of rewrite there.
Yeah, I think that would have just improved that scene a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of shocked. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think you would go that route with that.
Yeah. Well, he's an old white guy.
Sure, fair enough.
Set in his ways.
Yeah. But that's a movie. Danny Elfman score, classic, came back.
Yeah. Isn't he cancelled or something?
I just learned this recently.
Me too. Did we learn it from the same video?
Probably.
Yes, we did.
But I didn't know that either. But
yeah,
it was a good theme, good score.
Oh, Dave Grohl got cancelled too.
Sort of. There's obviously controversy there.
Yeah. Womp womp.
It's the rock star lifestyle.
I was actually, this is going on a side tangent here.
Sure.
I was talking about this with my friend the other day, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really disappointed because Dave Grohl's such a wholesome person." Sure. And I was like, in the scale of terrible things that celebrities do,
yes,
cheating on your wife and having a child out of wedlock,
it's not the worst.
Doesn't seem, especially when you take responsibility and you're saying, "Well, I'm going to make sure this child is loved and cared for and everything," just doesn't seem like that bad to me. I don't know if that's maybe just because.
Well, you've always kind of stated in your own kind of personal philosophy in that family dynamics are different for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. We don't know what the situation was fully.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also a rock star on the road a lot. I'm not saying if they had a monogamous marriage where they had an understanding that they would not be with other people.
Yeah.
And he did that, then that sucks for their marriage. But on the grand scheme of having a jet going to an island full of underage girls, it's not as bad.
I personally haven't really been following the story too much. I've just seen the headlines, and I'm kind of been I'll see how it shakes out. Yeah. But it hasn't.
It's not Cosbying.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like I said, it's I personally also would agree with that statement that there are far worse.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of disappointing, but
sure. But
people are human and they make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, sorry, tangent over. Would you recommend this movie?
Surprisingly, yes. I think I gotta say I would recommend it. I did enjoy it, and I think going in I try to do with an open mind with it, but as someone who's enjoyed Beetlejuice 1 over the years, I did enjoy the sequel.
Nice, yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think if you're really into Beetlejuice, you'll probably enjoy it. Go see it in the theater, I guess, so that more movies get made of this caliber.
Well, and it's hard to, obviously...
I think you could watch it on pay-per-view or on streaming or whatever,
sure,
too, right?
but I was going to say, it's taking someone in fresh, what's that like?
Right. Oh, it would be a mess if you were not familiar with Beetlejuice at all.
Yeah.
This movie will not make sense if you haven't seen Beetlejuice. You shouldn't go into it.
Yeah, because it really just assumes that because they're just it's that guy, and you're
they spend no time explaining anything.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
Yes.
But if you don't know Beetlejuice, you should go watch the original, and then you could enjoy it.
There you go.
But yeah, the original is better, but it's still okay.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Should we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess nothing really else to mention, I don't think.
No.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching if you got all the way to the end of this video. Or podcast if you're listening.
Yeah.
And follow us on Instagram, Tome of Uselessness. Go to our website, tomeofuselessness.com. Send us an email that says, "Hey, I think that it was a dream sequence." The whole thing.
Whoa.
tomeofuselessness@gmail.com.
Nice and easy.
And that's it.
Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Stay safe, and thanks for listening.